Hi guys, welcome back to It's Cozy but Complicated. And this is my little corner of the internet where I take Hallmark movies way too seriously. And I like to watch these movies through the lens of work culture, emotional realism, relationships, burnout, loneliness, and the fantasies we sometimes live inside. Today I want to talk about the movie Love on the Menu. Now, this movie, I'm not sure when this movie premiered on Hallmark. It may have been last year, even. It's a recent movie, and I watched it recently on Hallmark's YouTube channel, and I want to talk about it. So let's get into it. All right, guys. So this movie was good. This was a very entertaining movie. It kept me engaged. The chemistry between the main characters was 10 out of 10, and it was very enjoyable. But there are other things that stood out to me. Love on the Menu starts with a woman. Her name is Maggie. Maggie's entire professional life revolves around turning food into product. She works for a frozen food distributor, so her world is all about profits, scalability, spreadsheets, and deadlines. But emotionally, she's starving for something real, more real. And that's why she keeps returning to this tiny little Italian restaurant. Not because the food is so good, but because the food is connected to a human. And the chef, his name is Hank Daniels. Chef Daniels sources all of the food himself. He's intentional about how he prepares his food, and he treats food like an experience. Now, when Maggie approaches Hank about helping her company create a line of gourmet frozen meals, his response is, I don't even own a freezer. And this is not a cooking preference. It sounds more like a philosophy of life because the movie isn't really about fresh food versus frozen food. It's about what happens when work turns something that is made to nourish people into just another product. So as the movie opens, we see Maggie. Maggie, she is single. She's single. She wakes up at 5:59 a.m. to get her day started for work. The first thing she does is she goes into this sterile white kitchen, and she opens her refrigerator, and she has all of these frozen foods on one side of the refrigerator. And then we see that she has some green juices that she takes one. This is what I didn't understand. Let me go back. The first thing she does is make coffee. She makes coffee. She takes a couple of sips, then she pours the coffee out and puts the coffee cup into the dishwasher. She goes into the refrigerator where she has all of these frozen meals from her company on one side of her refrigerator. Well, that's her freezer. And she takes one out of the freezer. She puts it into the refrigerator side of the fridge or whatever. And we see that she also has a collection of green juices. So at first I was confused by this, but it kind of shows again how she works and food is commodity on one side, but there's still something in her that craves the organic realness of food, if you will. But I didn't understand the whole coffee thing. Why would you brew a whole pot of coffee, take a couple of sips in a cup, and then pour it in the sink? To me, that's wasteful now because I love coffee. I love coffee. But anyway, so we see her getting ready for work. She goes to work, and she goes into the office where she meets with her boss. This lady, her boss, is a favorite of mine on the Hallmark channel. I'll put her name up, or if I can find a photo. I can't remember the names, y'all. I can't remember all of the names. But she tells her, hey, I have been thinking about a new line for the company. We need something new. I'm thinking about starting a line of gourmet frozen foods. And I have a chef in mind. So she pulls out Chef Daniel. She pulls out his cookbook and she hands it over to her boss, who is pretty much no nonsense. And she's like, I want to work with this chef. And so her boss pulls up the website and she's like, oh, the website needs work. But hey, if you can get him on board, I think it's a great idea. So she tells her to go back to the restaurant, try a couple of more things, talk to the chef, and then report back to her. So she goes to the restaurant. This time she orders 2 appetizers and 5 entrees. So there's a food critic in the restaurant. He's sitting behind her and he comments, he's like, that's a lot of food. And she's like, well, I never know what to order, so I just kind of order everything. And then I take a really big doggy bag home. And she makes a comment. She said, you'll be surprised what you can freeze. Now, in the kitchen is Hank and his team. They are working, they are doing all of the things, and they think, oh my God, this lady just ordered all of this food. She must be the food critic. And so Chef Daniel's, his restaurant is a 1-star restaurant, and that's a big thing in Seattle because there's only 6 restaurants in the city. They're in Seattle. There's only 6 restaurants in the city with a star. And at first I thought 1 star was like a Yelp rating, but no, 1 star is like kind of like a Michelin star type of restaurant. He has 1 star, which is a great, great, great accomplishment, and he wants to get 2. So they are excited. So his brother-in-law works for him. He's like, hey man, I think this is the critic because she ordered so much food. So he pulls his team together and he tells them, y'all follow my lead, breathe, and execute. So they get to work, but at the same time, they are ignoring the real food critic. He's trying to get somebody to come serve him. He's asking for more napkins or whatever, and they just all rush past him and start serving Maggie. And so she tries to have a conversation with Chef Daniels, but one of the waiters accidentally spills some coffee or something on him, and their conversation is cut short. We move past that. And I want to say also, when we talk about the contrast between how Maggie starts her day and how Chef Daniels starts his day. So when we first meet Chef Daniels, he is already in the kitchen bright and early. He's making this big, extravagant breakfast with fresh ingredients. He's chopping, he's blanching, he's boiling, he's stirring, he's mixing, he's doing all of these things. And he creates this beautiful, beautiful frittata, breakfast frittata. And I'm like, oh my God, that looks so delicious. But he's doing all of this for his daughter. He has a teenage daughter. She bops downstairs. She's consumed with something on her phone. And he's trying, look, I made breakfast, dig in. And she's like, well, Dad, I don't have time to eat. Plus, I'm a vegan. And so he's like, oh my God, I didn't know that. Well, I got some oatmeal. And she's like, no, I don't have time to eat. She rushes out. So that's how we meet him. And we meet him in different scenes where he's up early, he's in the kitchen, he's making these elaborate breakfast meals for his daughter, and she never has time to eat them. And that was starting to get on my nerves because once she said she was vegan, he ended up making her a bowl of oatmeal. Now, I love oatmeal too. That is my breakfast of choice. Now, I wrote down the recipe because he was like, since you are vegan, I made you some oats with almond milk, chia seeds, coconut, cardamom, cinnamon, candied ginger, vanilla, and grated nutmeg. Now you tell me, somebody say, especially a chef, said they made that for you, and you're just going to look and say, well, I don't have time to eat that. I don't have time. She always grabs an apple and she rushes out the door. That little girl was making me so mad. And then the final scene where he's okay, you're vegan one day, you're not vegan. I just made a whole thing of everything. So he made eggs, pancakes, all kind of stuff. And so this time she did try to sit down and eat at least a pancake. I was like, girl. But that we know that that's how he shows love. That's his love language. And my mom was like that. She loved to cook for people. She loved to feed people. And my mom used to cook from scratch. So I understood what he was trying to do. And I think that's why I was so frustrated with his daughter, because she never took the time to eat the food that he prepared. And we see in a couple of scenes where when she's talking to Maggie, she's like, I just won't order pizza. I can eat a frozen pizza. It don't matter. And I get that because sometimes people don't want the elaborate, all of that. But I'm like, baby, you got your daddy cooking for you. You better enjoy that food. But anyway, so we move on. So the thing that happens, the turning point in the movie, we find out that Chef Daniel, his restaurant is really in financial trouble. His wife passed away. That was an emotional toll on him. He kind of lost himself in the restaurant. His brother-in-law stepped in to help him run the restaurant, and he's doing the books, but he's really a bartender. But he's trying to take care of all of these administrative and accounting things that's going on with the restaurant, and he's doing a very, very poor job of it. And they find out that they owe the bank like $250,000. And in the midst of all of this, they find out that they lost their star because the critic that was in the restaurant the same night as Maggie, of course, he went back and wrote a bad review and they lost their star. So now they have to try to get that star back. So enters Maggie and her boss. They come in and we want to have a conversation with you about this line of gourmet frozen meals. So the boss explains that, hey, I know about your financial situation with the restaurant. I know that you owe the bank. If you don't pay them or give them something by the end of the month, you could lose this restaurant. Hank didn't know anything about this, but the brother-in-law was like, well, I was trying to keep you away from stuff like this and let's let you focus on the cooking. But they tell him, you know what, we want to come up with this line of gourmet frozen meals, but we need a chef to come up with the recipes and we'll, fix them. So they offer him a 12 recipe deal. She kept calling it a step deal. Y'all, I don't know what that is. Don't know. But they will pay him per recipe. He thinks about it. He and his brother-in-law, they think about it and they decide, okay, we'll do it because I need the money. He needs the money. They enter into this deal, and on top of that, Maggie is going to consult with him because she used to be a consultant for restaurants back in the day before she became a corporate girl. She's going to help him get his restaurant renewed, help. What is the word I'm looking for? Just give it some new life. And the first thing she wants to do is help him come up with a new menu because his menu stays the same all the time. And, even his brother-in-law was like, you got anything new coming? He's like, no, I stick with the classics. I perfect the classics, and that's it. But Maggie comes in. She's like, no, you need to change up your menu a little bit. So he agrees to do that. But also what I love about this is that she goes out with him to see how he sources all of the ingredients for his meals. He has special relationships with the seafood guy, with the vegetable guy. He goes out, he touches the food, he picks it up, he hand selects, what he wants to use in his restaurant. And I love that. I love that scene. So now he and Maggie are business partners. And she is beholden to her boss, who is on her neck, to get these recipes put together so they can go into their lab and have their scientists make the food. So as the movie goes on, Maggie is she's going to have to make a decision because working so closely with Chef Daniels and just learning about his process, his relationship with food, getting close to his daughter, learning about how she misses her mom. She's really weaving herself into his life. And he's doing the same with her. Of course, they share a kiss, they fall in love. I can't say they fall in love, but they really acknowledge that they really like each other. And everything is going great. Her suggestions to help the restaurant, to give it more visibility, it is working. He added short ribs to the menu. The staff, they got new uniforms. They kind of spruced up the dining room, and they invited some critics to come in and write really nice reviews, and all of that happened. Even the guy that was there before, he came back, and he loved the short ribs. So everything is working out fine. And he and Maggie, Chef Daniels and Maggie, they are moving on up that romance ladder. I love it. They have good chemistry together. They look good together. I want them to be together. And plus, the daughter really likes her. So it's like they're one big happy family. But then, of course, conflict has to come in with Maggie's boss. The scientist, whatever, is in the lab when he's working with Chef Daniel's recipes. He says that the recipes are great. They are good. The only thing, they couldn't use rice because rice doesn't freeze well. So Chef Daniel said, okay, we'll just use pasta. So they're using pasta. And you know what, come to think of it, guys, I don't think I've ever had I can't remember. I don't think I've ever had a frozen meal with rice. I don't eat a lot of frozen meals. No, I take that back. I think I have had a frozen meal with rice. But anyway, I don't do a lot of frozen meals, but I have had my share. But anyway, so the chef was like, yeah, I mean, the scientist guy was like, yeah, he's given us some good ideas, and we've taken some of his ideas and we've created our own recipes. So she was like, well, how many recipes did you all create? So I can't remember the number, but they created enough recipes that they said they don't need Chef Daniels anymore. So she calls Maggie in and said, you know what, we're done with that chef. We have all the recipes we need, and we're about to go into production. But Maggie's like, wait a minute, I thought we were supposed to be helping him. He needs the money. He has a daughter. He has staff. We're supposed to be helping him get his restaurant and get his star back. And the boss like, girl, I don't care nothing about that man or his restaurant or his stars. My goal is to get this gourmet line up and running. And that should be your focus as well, because I found another chef that's going to help us come up with, I think she said a Mexican line or something like that, or a Spanish line. So you need to say goodbye to Chef Daniels and get on and meet this new chef. So she's conflicted. She doesn't know what to do. So she goes back to the restaurant. Basically, she tells Chef Daniels, look, I'm sorry, but we don't need any more recipes from you, and my boss doesn't want to pay you any more money. Of course, he's devastated, and he's like, what are y'all doing, just playing with me? Are you playing with me? She's like, well, I'm sorry, but I'm going to have to leave. I have to leave the restaurant and go work with another chef. So he's just in his feelings, and I understood where he was coming from, because it's like, what? But I didn't think it was fair to accuse her of using him, because he felt like, you just using me for your job so you can, get kudos on your job or whatever, so your company can make more money. You just used me. And she's like, no, I didn't use you. This is my job. So she's conflicted. He's like, well, you should have quit your job. And she was like, I wanted to, but she didn't. So he talks with his brother-in-law, he talks with his daughter, and he's like, you wrong. She's done everything to help us. She has a job to do, but she's done everything that she said she was going to do. Just because her boss is being a bitch about it, that's not on her. So he goes back to apologize to Maggie and tell her he was wrong for his reaction to the news. He was just hurt and just disappointed. And she understands. And so they have a conversation, and she decides, you know what, you need an investor, because they still have to pay the bank. And she's like, you know what, you need an investor. So what she does, she invites her boss to come back to the restaurant. And at the restaurant, she tells the boss, I'm investing in Chef Daniel's restaurant. I have a little money saved, and this is where I need to be. And the boss is like, girl, you're crazy, and you're also fired. And she's like, I knew you would say that, but that's cool. That's cool. And the lady, she's just so mean. She's like, you two deserve each other. And Chef Daniel's like, yeah, I think we do. And she was just so mean. And, she felt like, you're going to miss this money. You're going to miss this position. You're going to miss this job. But Maggie decided, no, I am where I need to be. I am going to put everything I have into this restaurant, into this relationship with Chef Daniels, and I think we're going to be fine. And of course, the movie ends with everything being fine. The restaurant is doing well. She's found a new family. She's surrounded by warmth. She's surrounded by realness. She's surrounded by good food, y'all. And that is what her life was missing. It's just something with substance. And I love that for her. I love that for her. Y'all, this was a really good movie, y'all. This is just a little quick synopsis of Love on the Menu. If you have not seen this movie, please go check it out. It is really good. Right now, you can see it on YouTube, on Hallmark's YouTube channel. I'm sure it's going to be playing, and you can probably go to Hallmark Plus. I'm not sure. But it's really good. So that's it for me, guys. I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. And let me know down below, do you like watching Hallmark movies as much as I do? I don't know. Let's talk about it in the comment section. I'll see you guys in the next video.